And welcome back to Pokemon Team Videos. This one comes us from Egotistical Ghost, who asked the question, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagues the Wise? Darth Plagues the Wise was a Lord of the Sith, so powerful in the dark side, that he even found a way to influence the midichlorians to create life. So yes, Darth Plagueis from Star Wars lore. Now, Darth Plagueis is canon. Heir to the Empire, I think. Not Heir to the Empire. That's the Thrawn trilogy. Lords of the Sith. I think that was it. I think that is canon, and we know he's canon because he's in the Star Wars movies. For those of you who are not big Star Wars fans, or have just forgotten, real summary of Darth Plagueis. He was the master of Darth Sidious. He's Darth Sidious' master. As Darth Sidious said, Palpatine said in that story to Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, he basically found a way to influence midichlorians. We don't like to talk about that, but that's what they said, to prevent death and create life. He became so powerful that the only thing he feared was losing power, which eventually he did. He was killed in his sleep by his own apprentice, who he taught everything. So, yes, Darth Plagueis, though, is considered one of the strongest Sith to ever exist. I mean, Palpatine is kind of considered to be the strongest. He's like the number one. But ultimately, Palpatine knew he actually couldn't kill Palpatine knew he couldn't kill Plagueis outright, so he waited till he was asleep. So as such, Plagueis is still, Plagueis is very much, there's still a lot of mystery around Plagueis. What we do know of him is that he was a moon, which is a species alien, that looks human. It was like longer features, big bulbous head. You can kind of see it in this image here. Big long fingers and all that. Much taller than normal human, but still humanoid. While he only has one lightsaber in this picture, he's actually seen in other medias dual blading lightsabers, which is why, just to get that out of the way right now, I put a double blade on the team. That is due to the fact that he's been seen using multiple lightsabers, so it was either going to be a Hone Edge or a double blade. Whenever a character has a sword, and that sword is kind of a big part of that character, it's kind of a no-brainer that character is going to be getting either a double blade, a Hone Edge, or Aegislash in the right context. Sadly, there was nothing that really represents a shield in this case, so I couldn't go with Aegislash. So that double blade I felt was the appropriate one. Plus, it's a ghost type, so that works too. But anyway, moving past that obvious one, what do we have on here? So I had to go A with his abilities and B with his personality and what we know about him. So obviously being a Force user, a lot of psychic types are going to be showing up on this team. However, being the dark side, I did want to throw dark types in there as well. Looking through his personality, he was known to be a solid manipulator and strategist. Ultimately, that led me to Malamar. Malamar, I felt, was a good option for, honestly, any Sith team where the Sith themselves is very manipulative. Whenever I get around doing a Sidious team, Malamar's probably going to be on that team. Also, obviously, you can learn Psychic type moves like Psychic. I think you can learn something like Zap Cannon, which would train like the Force Lightning as well, if need be. So, yeah, I think it's a good, solid choice for any Sith Lord who's on the more manipulative side. I would not go Malamar for a Vader team or a Maul team, however. Because they're not in that same level of manipulation or manipulative nature as someone like a Sidious or Plagueis was. So with that out of the way, I also then went with another Psychic-type Pokemon. This one was more for appearance, add on to the fact that he was a Force user, or it's a Force user type Pokemon. Behemi? I can never pronounce it right, but it's Beheeyam. Or is it B-E? Either way, it's Beheme or Beheeyam. Anyway. Yeah, and really, when you look up a Mun, you'll know why I chose this guy. He really does have, he has the standard UFO alien look to him, but he does have a resemblance to the Mun species, particularly in his head. So add on to the fact that Psychic type abilities really do represent Force abilities pretty well, at least with like the telekinesis, Jedi mind trick, all that kind of stuff. I felt that was a pretty good option. So next, I wanted something that introduced the foresight, because according to Palpatine, he actually did have a good grasp of foresight, wisdom, knowledge of the future, and knowledge of the present and past. And a Pokemon that kind of allegedly does that is Zatu. It stares allegedly into both the future and the past simultaneously, so it just stares out into the into the distance, into into the yonder, into the force itself. But no! It is still a Pokemon that can work for this team, I believe. And yeah, I mean, it represents more the spiritual aspects of the Force, gazing into the future, gazing into the past. It represents more of that for Darth Plagueis. So, okay, now these last two. Now, so far the team's been sort of like, okay, I guess it works. Like, even I'll admit, like, maybe I could swap out Zatu. I probably would keep the Honedge, I would keep the Malamar, and I would keep the Behemoth because, I think, like, they make sense. But I can see other arguments for it. These other two, though, these are the tricky ones, because these are really the Pokemon on this team that truly represent the strongest aspects that we know of Darth Plagueis. So one is a Pokemon that is, there's a reason. He's known as Darth Plagueis the Wise. He gathered a lot of knowledge and wisdom and power. He also knew how to influence metachlorians and stop and possibly even resurrect the dead. We don't know if he could actually resurrect the dead, but there are implications he could do that. What he learned was basically the transfer your soul thing to another individual. But still, it's very possible he could have learned beyond that. With Sith alchemy, the Force itself, ultimately that's what we learned. So these two Pokemon that we're coming up with now represent more the actual lore abilities that we've heard Darth Plagueis possessed. So the first one, and I think this is the one that really works well, is Slowking. But specifically, Galarian Slowking. Now first I'm like, oh, Slowking. Slowking can learn Heal Pulse, which can basically heal like the entire team, influence the metachlorians and something, and create life. But it's also an extremely intelligent Pokemon as well. It's in the movie it learned how to use human language just on its own. But then, thanks to the Galar region, we do have a more evil variant of this Pokemon, if you will. I believe it's a Ghost Psychic in this case, or is it still Poison Psychic? Either way, it is still a very sinister, at least looking Pokemon that still maintains the intelligence of the original one. Yeah, Poison Psychic. Still maintains the intelligence of the original Slowking, just now with a more sinister vibe to it. And it is more than capable, I think, of being a qualifier for his team. Adding on also, it can still learn the Psychic-type moves, like Psychic, which could represent the Force Telekinesis, Hypnosis, which would represent the, Jedi Mind Trick. Yeah, these are not the droids you're looking for. If I'm not mistaken, lurking like Mind Reader, I believe that is basically kind of like Lock On. It kind of locks into your opponent, which could be, singling out the weakness, which would be, oh god, what is that? Tutaminis? No, that's absorbing energy. Shatterpoint. That's it, Shatterpoint. So, ultimately, I like Galarian Slowking on this team. Which brings us now to the last Pokemon on this team. Now, this last Pokemon was kind of a tricky one to pull. Because I'm like, Darth Plagueis was powerful. So I needed a real powerhouse Pokemon on this team. And that's not to say that, and I'm going to just shrink. I just realized, I'm going to move Zatu over Galarian. Okay, that looks better. Or I'll shrink down Zatu just a little bit there. Perfect. No, all these Pokemon can be extremely powerful. If I were to argue stat-wise, I don't have them right in front of me what the strongest one is between type and stat. It's probably either Malamar or Slowking. And honestly, Malamar can take out a good half of this team because he's got immunity from any of their Psychic-type attacks. The only one actually would probably lose against is Doublade, and that's due to the fact that it's Ghost Psychic, or Ghost Steel. The Ghost type it resists because of the dark, but the Psychic makes it, pretty much neutral at that point. The Steel, though, is a typing it has no ready defense against. So last Pokemon on this team is still another Pokemon. I'm like, okay, we've already addressed the metachlorians, but there's more to it. He found a way to actually, stave off basically bring himself back to life if he needs to, or needed to, but he unfortunately was killed before he could implement this. Sidious implements it imperfectly later on in the series, but he's still able to do it. So, I'm like, is there any Pokemon that can actually resurrect the dead? And I'm thinking on that. I'm like, and you think on that too for a second too. Is there any Pokemon that can legitimately resurrect the dead? And to the best of my, I mean, take Arceus out, but no, Arceus is way too powerful for a Plagueis team, and just doesn't work in terms of overall the style. And the creation tree, no. And then I'm like, well, there is one Pokemon that either resurrected the dead or resurrected them when they were near death into the Pokemon that they are today. Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is famous for basically creating Entei, Suicune, and Raikou by basically reanimating and giving them life again from the burning tower. Now that said, I don't know if it's ever fully stated whether or not they were completely dead at that point or they were near death. Which honestly doesn't make a lot of sense when you actually think about it. Like, yeah, that was intense fire, but wasn't one of them a water type? If the theory that they were actually Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon suffices, and they died, and that's why they came back just as advanced water types. First off, Flareon's a freaking fire type. There's no way the fire should have done anything to it. Vaporeon's a water type. Even if it can't fight that entire fire, it could fight out a giant chunk of the room and make a hole so they can escape. So I don't know. That's why I don't. I like the theory that they were a Vaporeon, a Jolteon. Maybe they were just all Eevees. Maybe they were Eevees, and when the resurrection happened, they were brought back to life. And Eevees would not have any sort of defense against that kind of heat. And just through maybe there's traces of evolutionary stone when Ho-Oh did it or something like that. I don't know. I'm spitballing theories here. But anyway, Ho-Oh, because it was able to bring individuals back to life, or back to transform them from near death into fully living and more powerful beings, I feel like Ho-Oh is actually the best final member of the team in this case to represent Plagueis' ability to manipulate Metachlorians and life itself. So, just to recap, for Darth Plagueis' scene, we have Doublade for his ability to do dual wield lightsabers. Behemoth, because he looks like a moon and he's a psychic type, which mirrors the Force pretty well. Malamar, for the manipulative aspects of Darth Plagueis' personality, plus being a dark type represents the dark side, obviously, and again, psychic really works well with the Force user. Xatu, because Darth Plagueis had very good foresight and hindsight, actually able to look into the future to some degree, and again, psychic in the Force. Galarian Slow King to represent think words here. To represent the wisdom, Darth Plagueis the Wise. Heel Pulse to represent his ability to resurrect or influence life and keep people alive. And Ho-Oh to also represent that, as well as the fact Darth Plagueis was extremely powerful. He was still extremely powerful. So that is my opinion on the team for Darth Plagueis the Wise. I'll always say his name too. I'll always do the Sidious when I'm talking about Darth Plagueis the Wise. But until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, what if, anything we'll do on the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. I've still got box office whenever the box office updates for the day. We've got a review from yesterday. You'll know it's not Peter Rabbit. Don't worry. I will get Peter Rabbit, Jaden. Don't worry. And I have a special video I have coming out either today or tomorrow. So keep your eyes out for that. You're maybe wondering, what is this special video? Let's just say I'm going to be putting myself through a lot of pain for you folks. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you folks next time.